Hey everyone, so I just wanted to make a quick video explaining the OpenAI computer use and specifically their computer use API, which they just released within the past 1 to 2 months. So for context, OpenAI, with their latest GPT-4 model, released a new feature where it can actually control a full computer environment, which means like it can look at the screen visually, and then like actually figure out where coordinates are on the screen and be able to like fully navigate a desktop computer. So this is a fairly recent thing that OpenAI released, and they also like on the right side of here they have some documentation on how to get started with it. And I was going through these docs and trying it out myself, and found it was like a little bit hard to get started or a bit confusing. So I just wanted to like spend a few minutes walk through how to get started. So on the right here, I have these docs, and just to basically go through it, you can just say that they have computer use is the practical application of CUA, as they call it, using the computer use preview model, and then how it works. And they essentially go through that at each step. The model will take a screenshot of the computer, and then along with a prompt, like if you ask it to open up Firefox, it will look at the screen, and then the result is a tool call result of what action to take on the computer. So in this case, you can see, for example, if you prompt it to open up Firefox, it will look at the screen, determine the actual pixel coordinates of the Firefox icon, and then return a click tool result. And then this will keep you operating in a loop of taking screenshots and then executing the actions and then taking a new screenshot to see the current screen state. And you guys can read through this fully. I'll have a link in the description, but you can just see there are options to set up a local environment. In our case, I'm going to show you guys how to use a remote desktop environment. So you do need to sign up for an API key, but it's free. So like along separately, you could just follow the local virtual machine setup, but it's an extra few steps. And I just want to show like the easiest way to get started. And they also have a useful image here, or a useful picture demonstrating the process. So yeah, I'll just show you some code here. I'm gonna show it in Python, but it's probably relevant to any programming language. I just prepared about 100 lines of code, and I'll provide this code snippet as well, just to show you an easy starting point, so you can just get started faster, and then change the code as needed. So in our code here, there's two primary imports, which is first of all the OpenAI Python SDK, which you can get through pip install OpenAI, as well as I'm using Orgo, which is pip install Orgo, and that's going to provide you the actual computer environments, and it will be run remotely. So you'll need an API key, but it's free to get started. And you can see here, this would be right here. This is the primary code snippet of like the computer use model API. So you can see in the kind of API spec, you need to pass in the actual screen resolution and what you're using for the environment. You can use Linux, or you can also try out Mac or Windows. For example, if you wanted to try to run it on your own Mac or Windows computer, as well as a prompt. And as an example, I just provided a little bit modified prompt and just saying you're controlling a Linux desktop, and always double click desktop icons when trying to opening apps. Because for example, in Ubuntu and Linux, you have to double click a desktop icon to open it, but sometimes the model gets confused and single clicks it. So I just provided that as an extra context. And then I have the reasoning mode turned on, and then you can actually see like kind of like what the model is thinking, or like the actual text result that it outputs. So this main execute right here is actually just implementing the CUA loop, as I mentioned here. So that's going to be the loop of getting the current state and then executing actions. And yeah, there's some extra code here. And another important part is the execute action, which you need to be able to understand like the result that the model returns. If the model says to click, then you need to actually execute the click on the computer environment. So this is just a quick run through of the code that I prepared, and you can obviously explore this and try it out yourself. But I also just prepared a quick example, which is to open a terminal and run ls, which is just listing the files in the current directory, and then just destroying the machine. Like we run the task and then just kind of destroy it or delete it once we don't need the computer anymore. So this, yeah, that's a quick rundown. And to get started, there will be two things that you need, which is a OpenAI API key and an Orgo API key. So that's for the model, and then the environment, which is a separate thing. So if you so as a disclaimer for OpenAI, like you might need to add a few dollars in credits, or maybe you might be able to get away with the kind of free tier. But to get an API key, you will need to kind of search up like OpenAI API platform, and then you can go through this and then go into your settings, which will give you your API key. In addition, for the remote computer environment, which is the kind of the easiest way to get started, you can just go to the website orgo.ai and go to the start page. So I will show you quickly in our code. So we have our main Python file with a .env file. You just need to go here and then just grab an API key. And then that should be good to go. And I'm just going to leave this open as well. And I'll delete this API key afterwards, so yeah, don't try to use it. But and the important thing as well with this with Orgo is you can only have one, like it's free, but you can only have one instance going at once or concurrently. So you just have to delete it after each use. But if you just keep doing that, then it's free to use. Okay. And yeah, once you have those things and you just have a little bit of example code, one thing you'll have to do is just create a virtual environment with Python 3, BMV, like that. And then once you're inside the virtual environment, like you can say BMV scripts activate, or in Mac, you can say, you can run VEMV bin activate. So once you're inside a Python virtual environment, you just have to run a few package installations, which would be installing the OpenAI client, the Orgo client, and then python.env. So that might take a few seconds to download all the packages that we need, but then we should be good to go. We'll wait on that. And once we start it, what we're going to see as well on the right hand side, we're going to create a new computer environment, and then we should see it pop up, and then it's going to make AI model calls to OpenAI to ask us to figure out what the current actions we should take, and then we'll start to see those, or we should be able to start to see them execute on the screen. So all we need to do is just run this Python script. You can see it's running. This might take a few seconds. Okay, so let me here. I'll actually refresh the screen as well. Okay, so we can see it now. The computer looks like it popped up, and you can start to see this is using like the GPT model, but you can start to see what actions it takes, and then you can see at each step it's saying, okay, we're clicking the terminal from the desktop icon, we're executing this, and then you can see it properly ran, and yeah, and then that should be good to go. You can see it completed the environment, and then it will tear down the environment. So you can, you should be able to run any prompt here, and you can definitely explore this on your own. As a quick example, I can run one more prompt, which is just maybe find a funny cat picture. And we'll try to run that as well. And so you see it created a fresh new computer environment. And then We can wait a few. It might take 20 to 30 seconds to kind of go through, but you can see in the console logs that it starts to launch Firefox, so it can search for a cat picture, and you can watch it here. It might take some time to pop up. Okay, so it looks like it opened up Firefox. And what it's going to do is actually be able to click through and operate the entire screen. And eventually, we might see it click around and then be able to find a funny picture on the internet. Okay, so you can see here. So it popped up as well. And another thing to note with this is, I'll provide this code and this is kind of a basic implementation, but there's a lot of ways that these kind of agents can be improved and can operate the computer more reliably. And for example, you could make more optimizations like adding more tools so the agent has more tools available at its disposal, or you could add in new things such as like memory capabilities so it can kind of remember details over a long period of time, like 1 or 2 weeks, um, or try to swap out different models as well and see what kind of interesting results you can get from each of these. But yeah, as this other current example, you can see it start to click around and kind of browse the internet to find a funny cat picture. And yeah, so you can play around this a little bit more. I'll probably end the video here. But yeah, just like as a summary, kind of through this video, we got both of our API keys, like both Orgo and OpenAI, and we took the AI model GPT and are controlling a remote cloud desktop environment with it. And we just ran a few English prompts. So asking the AI to kind of complete a task and autonomously operate the computer while doing so. So I hope this video was helpful, and thank you.